In this video, I'm going to explain to you how changing your tiller can affect the way the string feels on your fingertips. So an old school method of setting your tiller is when you pull back the bow, you should be paying attention to the sight pin, seeing if it rocks up or down as you draw back, and then you adjust your tiller or the limb bolt position different top and bottom, so that way you can change the way the pressure is exerted on the bow as you pull it back. Now, I don't recommend setting your tiller that way, and I'm going to show you how to set your tiller for your specific finger pressure setup. If you're new here, my name's Kaminski. I'm a two-time Olympic silver medalist in the sport of archery. I've been making this channel a great resource to all types of archery, including tuning and form and strength training, as well as training methods. And if you haven't by now, hit that subscription button and the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is uploaded. I'm pumping out a lot of content lately, trying to make you a better archer and reduce the growing pains that I experienced when I was coming up. You're watching the Jay Kaminski YouTube channel. So this is kind of like the last roundabout thing within the tuning series I've been working on. If you haven't seen the rest of it, I will put a link in the description below. Plus I'll put a card up at the top here so that way you can check out the rest of the tuning series and kind of go through with me step by step and setting up your Olympic style recurve bow with me exactly how I would do it. So tiller, this is a fairly easy thing to think about. Like I said in the stabilizing setup video, I do not adjust my tiller to help me hold my sight pin in the middle. I really try to set my tiller to work with me on my finger pressure needs instead of adjusting it to help me hold the bow still. Why would you want different pressure on different fingers while you're at full draw? There's a couple reasons, and it kind of comes down to each individual person. Do you want to feel more pressure on your bottom finger, more pressure on your top finger, maybe because you enjoy that feel in particular? Or maybe you're having a hard time keeping your bottom finger on the string and it wants to slip off the string as you're pulling through the clicker. So you may want to reduce the pressure that you feel on that bottom finger so that way it's easier to keep it on the string. That's one way to go about it, and sometimes that's how I do it as well. So especially if I'm trying a different length bow, instead of shooting a 70-inch bow, shooting a 68-inch bow or a 72-inch bow, I have adjusted and changed my tiller from my standard setting on this 70-inch bow, to compensate. So it's actually very simple to think about, and you can really over-exaggerate it by just doing some, string walking per se. So if I pull it back where the knocking point is, and I have decent form, I feel like I have fairly even pressure, maybe a bit more on my top finger. But if I move my hand down, which would be somewhat similar to increasing the tiller split or turning your limb bolt in on the bottom, as I pull back, I feel more pressure on my top finger. It's easier to keep my bottom finger on the string when I have more bottom limb weight. Now the opposite's also true. If I pull up higher, which would be more of an even tiller split or even a negative tiller, I now have more pressure on my bottom finger. It's so easy to keep this top finger curl, but this bottom finger just wants to slip and slide right off the string. So depending on what you want to feel for you, depending on your each individual finger length, the type of anchor you're using, whether it be more flat, more vertical, you may need slightly different finger pressure feelings or slightly different tillers to keep your hook on the string. Because ultimately, what you really don't want to have happen is you don't want your fingers to be slipping and changing position while you're pulling through the clicker. Because if it is, you may be slipping slightly more or slightly less each shot, and that is absolutely going to affect not only your impact point, but your tune and arrow flight. Everything is going to be affected, so you cannot expect to have a consistent grouping downrange if you're changing your finger position or slipping as you're pulling through the clicker. Thanks for watching, and thank you to my Patreon supporters. If you want to become a Patreon supporter or check out books, apparel, and some seminar info, head to jaykaminski.com, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified every time a new video is uploaded. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you again.